I get a lot of questions about what projector I use, so I want to do a quick comparison video showing the 3 entry-level projectors that I have. So to do these tests, I'm going to set up all 3 projectors exactly 10 feet away from the wall, and then we're going to do 2 tests. The first will be with the window blinds open in the full daylight, and the second will be with them closed, so somewhat dark. We'll be looking at the projector's brightness, the resolution, and the size of the image on the wall. So let's get started. First projector is this VF200, which is about $50, and there's a bunch of brands that sell these. They all function the same. On the side, you have inputs for the power, HDMI, USB, and headphones. On the back, you have inputs for USB-C and micro SD. Then on the other side, you have the manual focus up. One thing to be aware of with these cheaper projectors is that the brands typically don't list accurate brightness measurements, but using projectordatabase.com, I know this one has about 100 lumens. So here it is in the daylight. You can see it's pretty washed out, but it does project a fairly large image. Here's the test video we'll use to check the resolution. When we get close to the wall, we can start to see the pixels very clearly. And here's the test in the dark room. You can see it appears much brighter and would be usable, however the pixelization is still there. So I would not recommend this for anything that you're going to be up close or you need a lot of detail. This is my final ranking of the projector. It scores well for price and portability, but scores low for brightness and resolution. The next projector we're going to look at is the AAXA LED Pico Plus Max. On the side, there's a micro SD slot, a mini HDMI input, and a USB input. On the back, there's a USB-C input, AV input, and headphone port. On the top, we have all of the controls for the menu. There's a very small dial for the focus. And as you can see, this projector is very small. I could fit it in my pocket. And what's really cool is it has a battery inside, which lasts about 2.5 hours when fully charged. This projector costs about $250. Here it is in the daylight. This projector also has approximately 100 lumens, so the image is washed out about as much as the previous projector. And the size of the projection is about the same as the previous one as well. So here is our resolution test. And as we get really close up, you'll see that the resolution isn't pixelated like the previous one. And here's our test in the dark room. You can see 100 lumens is sufficient. And with this projector, we don't get any of the pixelation. The resolution is much higher and looks good even close up. This is my final ranking of the projector. It scores high for portability and resolution, but not so great with brightness and price. The last projector we're going to look at is the GOIAEY Go-02. This one is much bigger, and on the back you'll see we have a USB input, AV input, headphone jack, 2 HDMI inputs, and another USB input. There's no mechanical focus because it has a sensor to autofocus, or you can use the remote to manual focus. This projector has about 1500 lumens and costs approximately $240. So here it is in the daylight. You'll notice even this projector is somewhat washed out but much brighter than the previous two, and the projection size is significantly bigger. Here's our resolution test, and as we get closer, you'll notice there isn't any pixelization, and the resolution is even greater detail than the previous projector. Here it is in the dark room. You can see it's very bright, and even if I lower the exposure on my iPhone, it maintains a high brightness. Up close, we can see the detail is maintained, and even getting closer, we see little to no pixelization. This is my final ranking of the projector. It scores high for resolution and brightness, an average score for price, and a low score for portability. I will note that this is the projector I typically use for my projection mappings at home. What we learned from comparing all 3 of these is that each projector has its own strengths and weaknesses. The VF200 is good if you're strapped for cash and will be projecting in the dark, but the resolution is quite bad. The AAXA is good if you need something super small that has its own power supply. But again, I would recommend only projecting in the dark with this. And it's quite expensive for not much brightness. And the GOIAEY is a good all-around starter projector. It created the biggest and brightest image. However, it's not portable, and I'm still not convinced it's bright enough to hold up in full daylight. It's worth noting that a lot of these entry-level projector listings have incorrect or misleading data, especially regarding their lumens. I've been referring to projectordatabase.com, which has lots of standardized information on many projectors. I just want to recap that I wasn't paid for any of these reviews. These are just the 3 projectors that I started with and wanted to share this information. Again, this is all in the context of someone who's interested in beginning to learn how to projection map and wants to buy a projector. Hope this helped. Thanks.